Have you ever noticed how a man suddenly starts acting differently the moment you stop chasing him? He might have ignored your messages before, taken you for granted, or acted like he didn't care. But the second you walk away, something shifts deep inside his mind, and it haunts him more than he'll ever admit. See, most men don't realize the value of what they have until it's no longer available. When you leave, it forces him to confront emotions he's been avoiding: regret, longing, and even fear. He starts replaying memories, wondering if he made a mistake, and questioning why he didn't appreciate you when he had the chance. This isn't just about missing your presence. It's about losing a sense of security he thought would always be there. And here's the twist. When you step back, his psychology flips. Your silence speaks louder than any text, any argument, or any second chance conversation ever could. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 4 powerful things that haunt a man after you walk away. The thoughts he can't escape, the regrets he hides, and the deep emotional triggers he never wants you to know about. So, if you've ever wondered what really goes on inside his head, stay tuned until the very end, because once you understand these secrets, you'll never see relationships the same way again. When you finally decide to walk away, he doesn't feel the impact immediately. At first, he thinks you're bluffing, that you'll come back after a few days. He assumes you'll text, call, or check in, just like you always did before. He believes you can't stay away because he's grown comfortable with the idea that you'll always be there. But then, silence. No calls, no texts, no signs of you watching his stories. That's when it hits him, the emotional shock. This isn't just sadness, it's confusion, frustration, and panic, all wrapped together. For the first time, he realizes he's lost something he thought was guaranteed. He replays old conversations in his head, thinking, did I push her too far? Did I ignore her needs? Why didn't I listen when she warned me? At this stage, he's wrestling with 2 versions of himself. The confident man who thought he could handle losing you, and the vulnerable man who now feels the void your absence created. That sudden emptiness becomes louder than he ever expected. He checks his phone over and over, hoping your name will light up the screen. Every notification makes his heart race, only to feel that sharp sting of disappointment when it isn't you. He might even start scrolling through your old messages, looking at your photos, reliving moments he once took for granted. But here's the thing, this emotional shock isn't just about missing you, it's about losing control. For so long he thought he had the upper hand. He thought your love was unconditional, endless, and secure. Now with your silence, he's forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. He was replaceable in your world, but you were not in his. This regret grows stronger when he realizes that someone else could be giving you the attention he didn't. The thought of you laughing with someone new, moving on, and being happy without him, it eats away at him. He starts imagining the what-ifs, and those thoughts become heavier with each passing day. This emotional shock is the first step toward his awakening. It's the moment he realizes the gravity of losing someone who genuinely cared. But instead of admitting it, most men hide behind pride. He may act cold, distant, or even pretend he's unfazed. Yet deep inside, he's haunted by a simple, painful question. What if she never comes back? And that question, it lingers. It stays with him. It keeps him up at night. It's the first regret that begins to change everything. The moment he truly starts to see your worth. After the emotional shock fades, something even deeper begins to settle in. A slow, painful realization of what he's truly lost. At first he thought it was just about missing your presence. But over time, he starts to see your worth in a way he never did when you were around. He remembers the little things, the way you always checked on him when no one else did. The late night talks, the way you supported his dreams, and the countless times you showed up, even when he didn't deserve it. Back then, he brushed it off, thinking there would always be another chance, another tomorrow, another moment to make it right. But now, tomorrow feels uncertain, and the absence of your presence makes everything sharper, louder, heavier. This is the stage where his pride begins to crack. He realizes it wasn't just about companionship. You brought something deeper into his life. Emotional safety, understanding, and genuine care. And the truth is, that's rare. He starts comparing what you gave him to what anyone else ever has. And suddenly, no one measures up. Here's the irony: when you were there, he overlooked your efforts. But the moment you're gone, those same efforts become priceless in his memory. It's like watching a movie in reverse. He replays the moments he dismissed, the conversations he ignored, the arguments where he refused to listen. And now, every memory carries a sting of regret. This is when he starts questioning himself on a deeper level. Why didn't I appreciate her when I had her? Why did I take her love for granted? How could I let someone like her slip away? And that realization, it changes the way he sees you forever. You're no longer just someone he dated. You become the one who truly cared, the one who stood by him, and the one he now knows he may never find again. He may try to distract himself. He may date someone new, dive into work, or act like he's moved on. But deep down, there's a growing awareness that he lost someone rare, someone who genuinely believed in him, even when he doubted himself. That kind of connection isn't easy to replace, and the weight of that truth grows heavier with each passing day. This is the regret that lingers, not because of what you did, but because of what he failed to do. He realizes your value when you're no longer there to give it, and that realization hits harder than anything else. It's no longer just about missing you, it's about knowing he mishandled something irreplaceable. And that thought, it's the one he can't outrun, no matter how hard he tries. At first, he thought he could handle life without you. He told himself he was fine, maybe even better off. He tried to convince himself that he didn't need you, that walking away was your loss, not his. But then, reality sets in. And this is when the third regret begins, when he truly feels your absence. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in slowly, like shadows at the end of the day. At first it's small, reaching for his phone out of habit, expecting a message from you that never comes. He checks your social media, searching for signs of you. But your silence is louder than anything he's ever heard. And that silence starts to eat away at him. He notices the emptiness in places he never thought he would. That restaurant you both used to love suddenly feels different. That song you used to play in the car now carries a weight he wasn't ready to feel. Even the little inside jokes, the random moments only the two of you understood, they all come rushing back like a wave. He can't stop. This is where regret turns heavy. He realizes that your presence wasn't just about being there physically. It was about the energy you brought into his life, the comfort of knowing someone cared deeply, the reassurance of having someone who understood him without judgment. And when that's gone, life feels colder, quieter, and lonelier than he ever expected. He starts noticing the difference between people who are around him and people who truly know him, and you were the one who truly knew him. That gap is impossible to ignore. He may try to fill it with distractions, nights out, casual conversations, or meaningless connections, but nothing feels the same. Nothing feels like you. And that's when the real ache begins. Not just missing you, but missing the version of himself that existed when he was with you. Because when someone truly loves and supports you, they create a safe space for your best self to exist. Without you, he feels the void not only of losing you, but losing that part of himself too. This regret isn't about guilt anymore. It's about yearning. It's about knowing that he once had something rare, and letting it slip away, thinking it would always be there. Now every reminder of you feels like an echo in an empty room. And no matter where he turns, the absence follows him. That's the thing about walking away. Your silence doesn't just remove you from his life. It creates a space he can't fill, no matter how hard he tries. And it's in that space where the third regret grows, louder, heavier, and impossible to escape. There comes a moment when the silence becomes unbearable. And this is where the deepest regret begins to take root. The realization that he wishes he treated you better. By now, the emotional shock has faded, and the weight of your absence has sunk in. But this stage hits differently, because now he sees every single thing he should have done but didn't. He remembers the times you begged for his attention, and he brushed it off. The nights you stayed up waiting for his call, and he didn't bother. The moments you needed him the most, and he wasn't there. Back then, he told himself it wasn't a big deal. He thought you'd always forgive him, that your love would always outweigh his mistakes. But now, replaying those memories feels like carrying 1,000 tiny cuts, each one sharper than the last. It's in this regret that the what-ifs start haunting him. What if I had just listened more? What if I had been more patient? What if I had appreciated her instead of taking her for granted? Those thoughts keep circling his mind late at night, and no matter how much he tries to distract himself, they come back stronger than before. This is when he realizes something powerful. Love isn't just about having someone, it's about nurturing them, valuing them, and showing up when it matters. And he didn't. He thought having you was enough, but now he sees that keeping you required effort he wasn't willing to give until it was too late. And that's the irony of regret. You don't feel its full weight until you've lost the chance to make things right. He might see you out there now, smiling, thriving, maybe even happier than you've ever been, and it burns. Not because he doesn't want you to be happy, but because he realizes he could have been the reason for that happiness, and he let it slip away. This stage humbles him. It forces him to face the version of himself he once was, careless, distracted, and blind to the value of someone who truly loved him. And that version, he can't escape it. Every memory reminds him of how easily he could have chosen differently, but didn't. Deep down, he wishes he could go back to the moments when he could have hugged you tighter, spoken kinder, listened more closely, and fought harder for you, but he can't. And that helplessness, that's the kind of regret that doesn't fade. It lingers, shaping how he sees love forever. By the time he realizes all this, you've already stepped into your power, and that's when it hits him the hardest. The life he could have built with you isn't his anymore, and he only has himself to blame. Walking away isn't just about leaving someone behind. It's about choosing yourself. And that single decision, it changes everything. For so long, he believed you'd always be there. He thought your love was endless, your patience unshakable, and your forgiveness guaranteed. But the moment you choose silence over begging, peace over chaos, and self-respect over constant pain, the balance shifts. Suddenly, he's no longer in control, you are. At first, he might not realize it. He may think you're just upset and that eventually you'll come back like you always have. But as the days stretch into weeks, the reality hits him. You're not playing games this time. You're actually done. And it's in that moment when the power dynamic flips completely. Because here's the truth. When you walk away, you take more than just your presence. You take your energy, your love, and your availability. He loses the comfort of knowing you'll always be there. And that absence forces him to confront something he's been avoiding all along, your value. This is the paradox of relationships. When you stop giving, you create space. And in that space, he begins to feel the depth of what he's lost. He notices the little things, your laughter, your kindness, your consistency, and your unwavering support, things he never thanked you for when he had them. But walking away isn't just powerful because of how it affects him. It's powerful because of how it transforms you. For the first time, you reclaim your worth. You stop pouring your energy into someone who couldn't appreciate it, and instead, you invest it in yourself. You rediscover who you are without him, and that confidence, that glow, it's magnetic. Ironically, that's when everything shifts. The more you focus on yourself, the more he begins to feel the weight of his mistakes. The silence becomes deafening, the distance unbearable, and he starts to realize something he couldn't see before. You were the one holding everything together. And that's when regret hits him differently. Not because you left, but because you chose you over him. He finally understands that you weren't walking away to punish him. You were walking away to protect yourself. That choice, to love yourself enough to leave a situation that no longer serves you, is what makes you powerful. And that power, it changes everything. It forces him to confront his actions, his choices, and the reality that without change, he loses you forever. Sometimes the greatest shift happens not when you try harder, but when you finally let go. Walking away doesn't just free you, it teaches him a lesson he'll never forget. Something fascinating happens when you finally decide to pull back. He starts chasing, the same man who ignored your calls, dismissed your feelings, and took your presence for granted, suddenly can't stop thinking about you. But why? What is it about distance that flips a switch in his mind? The answer lies in psychology, specifically, the scarcity principle. People tend to value what they can't easily have, and the moment you stop giving your time, energy, and attention, you create scarcity. He begins to sense that your love, which once felt infinite, is no longer guaranteed. And when something once abundant suddenly becomes rare, the human mind automatically places a higher value on it. At first, he might fight it. He'll tell himself he's fine, that he doesn't need you, that he can live without you. But here's the thing. The silence starts working on him. He's used to you checking in, asking how his day went, and being available whenever he needed you. When that disappears, it creates an emotional vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. Soon he starts overthinking. Who's she talking to? Is she moving on? Does she even miss me anymore? Those questions slowly consume him, not because he suddenly became a different person, but because your absence shifted the power dynamic. For the first time, he realizes he doesn't have access to you anymore, and that thought alone can be more powerful than any words you could ever say. Distance also taps into something primal, the chase instinct. Men are wired to pursue what they feel they might lose. When you were available all the time, he felt secure. But when you create distance, you awaken a deep psychological trigger, the fear of losing something valuable. This fear can override his ego, his pride, and even his rational thinking. He may start testing the waters, liking your posts, sending casual hey messages, or trying to provoke a response just to see if you still care. These little actions aren't random, they're attempts to reconnect and regain control. But the irony is, the more you keep your distance, the stronger the pull becomes. And here's where the real shift happens. Your silence forces him to reflect. Without constant reassurance from you, he starts questioning his role in losing you. He starts noticing your absence in the smallest, most unexpected moments. The morning coffee you used to share, the texts that no longer come, the comfort of knowing someone cared. That void becomes impossible to ignore, and his natural response is to close the gap. But this isn't just about him missing you, it's about him realizing your worth. When you stop trying to convince him of your value, he's left with no choice but to recognize it on his own. And that recognition hits differently when it comes from his own mind, not from your efforts. This is why distance is so powerful. It flips the dynamic entirely. The more you choose yourself, the more he feels compelled to move toward you. The more you focus on your growth, your happiness, and your self-worth, the more magnetic you become in his eyes. And here's the most important part. When he starts chasing, it's not just because he misses your presence. It's because he realizes he's losing a version of you he thought he'd always have. That fear of losing access to your energy, your love, and your attention creates an urgency he can't ignore. Distance forces clarity for both of you. And often, it's in your silence where he hears the loudest message of all you were valuable, and he didn't see it until now. By now you understand something powerful. The moment you walk away, the dynamic shifts. But here's the key. It's not enough to just leave physically, to stay in your power, and keep him regretting his choices. You need to transform your mindset, your energy, and your focus. The first step is choosing you every single day. You can't control his thoughts, his feelings, or his actions, but you can control where you place your energy. Stop checking his socials. Stop waiting for him to reach out. And stop living in the what-ifs. When you redirect that energy toward your own growth, you send a silent but powerful message. I am no longer available to anyone who cannot value me. And trust me, he feels that shift. When you pull back and start focusing on yourself, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability is magnetic. He doesn't know where you are, who you're with, or what you're thinking. That uncertainty creates curiosity, and curiosity turns into longing. But here's where many people slip. They use this as a strategy just to get him back. That's not real power. Real power comes from understanding that you don't need his validation anymore. Your worth doesn't depend on his attention, his apologies, or his love. When you truly internalize this, your energy changes, and that's when everything around you begins to shift. You start glowing differently when you invest in yourself. You prioritize your health, your goals, your passions, and your peace. You surround yourself with people who uplift you, and experiences that inspire you. The more you pour into your own life, the less space regret has to live inside you. And ironically, that's when his regret grows stronger. Because here's the truth about regret. It's not triggered by your words. It's triggered by your absence and your evolution. When he sees you thriving without him, laughing, growing, becoming more confident than ever, that's when it hits him the hardest. He realizes that the person he once took for granted has now become someone he might never get back. But here's the part you need to remember. Staying in your power isn't about revenge. It's not about making him jealous or punishing him for his mistakes. It's about choosing yourself so fiercely that anyone who once underestimated you can't help but recognize your worth. The longer you maintain your boundaries, the more his regret deepens. Not because you're playing games, but because you've stepped into a higher version of yourself, one that demands respect without asking for it. And when you reach that place, something beautiful happens. Whether he comes back or not no longer controls your happiness. That's true power. You're no longer the person who begged for his time or waited for his approval. You've outgrown the version of yourself that accepted less than you deserved. Now you're aligned with your value, your confidence, and your peace. And in that space, you're untouchable. He may chase, he may apologize, he may promise he's changed, but by then the decision is yours, not his. You hold the cards now, and whether you take him back or walk away for good, you'll do it from a place of strength, not desperation. Because once you learn to stand fully in your power, you stop needing anyone to validate it. And that's the moment he regrets losing you the most. Not because you walked away, but because you never looked back. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this entire video, it's this. Walking away isn't about losing someone. It's about finding yourself again. I know it's hard. I know there were nights you stayed awake, questioning everything, wondering why you weren't enough, replaying every moment, every word, every silence. But the truth is, it was never about your worth. It was about how little they recognized it. And that's the lesson most people miss. Someone failing to see your value doesn't diminish it. Walking away is an act of courage. It's a declaration that you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. It's choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-love over self-sacrifice. It's a promise you make to yourself. I will never again beg for the bare minimum. And here's the beautiful part. When you choose yourself, everything starts to shift. You stop obsessing over why they left, what they're thinking, or whether they regret it. Instead, you start pouring energy back into you. You begin healing, growing, and rediscovering the strength you forgot you had. You see, empowerment doesn't come from making someone chase you or regret losing you. True empowerment comes from knowing your worth, setting your standards, and refusing to lower them for anyone. When you stand in that power, you become magnetic. You no longer need validation because you already validate yourself. And yes, the regrets on his side will come, but they're not your responsibility to manage. His reflection, his longing, his realizations, those belong to him. Your only focus now is your healing, growth, and happiness. So take this moment and make it a turning point. Start investing in your dreams, your passions, your goals, and your self-love. Build a life so full, so rich, and so fulfilling that anyone who walks away is simply making space for something better to come. Because the ultimate win isn't proving them wrong. The ultimate win is proving yourself right. Right about your strength, right about your resilience, and right about the fact that you deserve the kind of love and respect that doesn't make you question your worth. This is your time, this is your power, and from this moment forward, I want you to carry one truth with you everywhere you go. Losing you is their regret, but finding yourself is your victory.